What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your host, as always, Adam Perez, coming through. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see each and every one of you here as we are, in fact, back to go ahead and get into some Marvel Disney Plus series review and discussion, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It was just a couple of weeks ago that we wind up saying farewell to WandaVision. Really knocked us on our ass, knocked it out of the park, if you ask me, for Marvel's first ever television series on Disney Plus. But now, guys, Marvel's in full swing now. This is, in fact, the second series that we're going to be getting into for you guys today. Falcon and the Winter Soldier has officially debuted. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe we're supposed to be expecting at least 6 episodes for Falcon and the Winter Soldier this season. So I am certainly looking very much forward to it. But let's go ahead and start diving into some of our talk. I hope you guys love the little overlay that I wind up putting up together here. Really getting myself personally invested in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, honestly. And it's really fun to be able to revisit both of these characters. Both of them, if I'm not mistaken, did fall victim to the blip and have found themselves sort of back in modern day time here 5 years later. We saw them all come through the portals in the end of Endgame. Yeah, so this is really picking up the adventures of both of these characters in Sam as well as Bucky, guys. So I'm really excited to see what this series is certainly going to hold for us. I don't know if we're going to get ourselves a second season. We'll certainly see where at the end of the season where it leads our characters. But I feel like this is probably a show we could probably get a second season on. WandaVision, on the other hand, feels like it might have told its story already, but we'll see what the future certainly holds in regards to it, guys. So listen, every Friday we certainly will be here 7:00 p.m. Central Time giving you guys reviews for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so, and definitely hit that not only the subscribe button but also the bell notification so that when we do go live, guys, you will certainly be notified. We're actually live on YouTube over on A Plus Hero Report and on our Facebook page today, guys. So listen, if you have had the opportunity to check out the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, feel free to go ahead and let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below after this video airs. We love to have open discussion with you guys and kind of just talk about the show, be perfectly honest with you. So guys, let's go ahead and get into Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode number 1 and talk about just a fantastic opening sequence. I mean, I love a series that opens up with a huge action piece. Not only just give the opportunity to have our heroes really showcased at their best, but just talk about really letting us know what the pacing and just what the tone of this entire series is certainly going to be like. This definitely feels very much like a Marvel MCU film stretched over about 6 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So I am definitely I'm going to be fully invested in this one for sure, just because I think the showrunner's already done a fantastic job, not just directing wise, but storyline wise, and some of the topics that we'll talk about that really honestly has me invested in here. And the action piece alone was brilliant to see. Sam Wilson as the Falcon going on a mission, if you will, showcasing his flight. I swear the CGI and the special effects just get better and better each time I watch the Falcon flying. It's pretty unreal. I'm continuing to love even his partnership with his little buddy Red Wing that's on his back, getting to see how that's utilized. Just some brilliant maneuvers, brilliant action. There's a really cool shot that they have, and you've seen it before in the trailers, where it's just a shot of just directly in Sam's face, almost like there's like a GoPro looking at him or something like that while he's flying. I'm a big fan of just that shot and that viewpoint as well. Some really cool aerial tricks. Trying to get away from some choppers, trying to rescue, I believe it's a captain, if I'm not mistaken. But we also have the return of Batroc, the Leaper, which I certainly wasn't expecting in here. George St. Pierre, the UFC Hall of Famer, MMA legend himself, GSP, winds up coming back. Last time I think we saw him was Captain America, the Winter Soldier, where he got that ass beat by Captain America, but was able to escape using a distraction. So I'm glad the fact that Kevin Feige hasn't forgotten that Batroc the Leaper is certainly still out there. And despite the action sequence that we wind up getting in here between him and Falcon, it seems as though Batroc certainly lives to see another day. So I'm really hoping that he either pops back up in here in this series or maybe somewhere else down the line. Maybe we'll see him in like 2, 3, 4 years, just kind of pop up randomly. Who certainly knows? But I thought that was a really great appearance from Batroc, aka, or I should say GSP, aka Batroc. in here also. So done in regards to just its opening sequence and really sort of setting the tone for what this episode certainly is going to be all about. And one of the also things that I love that they really did a good job of setting up is really just the state of the world that we're certainly in. Clearly the blip, that 5 years, certainly has changed the world significantly. People clearly lost their loved ones. We even saw in Endgame Captain America having like therapy sessions, right? Group sessions for people to kind of figure out how they're going to deal with their grief and mourning of people that they lost, right? So the world was really uplifted from how it usually does things. And now that everybody is certainly back after 5 years, I'm sure there is a lot of turmoil and chaos that's certainly going on. So I love the fact that we get people just referencing just how much this world really has changed, right? I think it's Torres, when he's speaking with Sam Wilson, talks about the Flag Smashers, I believe is their name. The idea that their ideology is the idea that they kind of like the way that things were with the blip, right? That's people, there was really almost no boundaries at that point. Now that everybody's back and things are trying to kind of go back to the way that they were, I guess these people really don't like the idea of sort of divided countries, if you will, and maybe just want to live under one united thing or whatever the case may be. So there's clearly some pushbacks now against governments and countries and things like that would rather have a world with no borders. I find that pretty interesting, and I really hope that in this season we have a Flag Smasher that actually comes out and really explains what it is that they certainly stand for, because I really am interested by that mindset. Of some people maybe having been okay with the blip and the tradition and the direction that the world was certainly going in, right? I think there's also Don Cheadle is in here coming through as Rhodey, which I was so glad to see him in here and really just have a great moment with Sam, honestly. But even he brings up the idea that allies are now enemies, right? That it's really hard to kind of trust people these days. So it definitely feels as though the MCU has significantly shifted, that the world that we knew before Endgame, things are just not the way that they certainly used to be. So I do think that Falcon and Winter Soldier is really going to help form us as a viewer in regards to what the world is like going forward when it comes to MCU movies, and maybe how difficult things are now compared to what they certainly used to be. And I think the idea that Kevin Feige is here now trying to build up new characters and new members and has all these TV shows and storylines and movies headed our way, I think is a really interesting indication to really show this world has changed, and maybe we need some new heroes that are going to accommodate it a little bit better than maybe some of our past heroes, because it's just those 5 years really did make a significant dent and impact on the world. So I really loved how this season or this show, at least in the first episode alone, really kind of creates that world for you. A couple of the characters that we have to talk about. I mean, we got to talk about Sam and we got to talk about Bucky in here. And I love both of their story arcs. The idea of Sam clearly still working his missions, right? Teaming up with the Air Force to certainly do whatever he needs to. But I love the fact that we see him very early on still struggling with the idea of having Captain America's shield to begin with. That first sequence of seeing him getting ready to go visit the Smithsonian, right? Putting on his suit, getting the shield ready. I love just hearing Steve Rogers' voice in that last conversation that they wind up having. Sam saying this feels like it belongs to someone else, and Cap's like it should, because it's yours. You know what I mean? We clearly know that Rogers was trying to give it to Sam, but there's clearly a lot of doubt in his head. Maybe not so much from maybe fears of what he might be able to do or what he may not be able to do, but definitely I think fears and doubts as to how other people are certainly going to react. And so I am really fascinated in that idea that we see somebody who's so heroic, who has done so many great things in his life to save people, that there is a hint of doubt as to whether or not he can kind of carry that mantle. I mean, he very much explains the fact that Steve Rogers is his Captain America, that the shield is simply sort of just a symbol, but you need somebody behind that symbol that's really going to sort of represent it. And he certainly feels as though that poster boy and that poster child for that shield is in fact Steve Rogers, and probably doubts that he himself or anybody else can certainly live up to what Steve certainly had in mind. And so the fact that he winds up giving the shield over to the Smithsonian, I mean, I'm glad that he wind up giving it to them of all people. I mean, I don't know who else you wind up giving it to, unless you're directly going to be giving it to sort of the U.S. government or whatever the case may be. But Sam clearly thought he did the right decision there. But we clearly get to see that he quickly regrets it by the end of this episode here, as we wind up getting introduced to ourselves a brand new Captain America that kind of winds up just sort of walking out. So I am fascinated. I really am fascinated to kind of see how this all plays out. Like the government themselves, I'm sure that they were definitely hoping that Sam would return their shield or his shield, I should say. Probably didn't want to cause too much of a stir, but if Sam Wilson delivers it to us, right? I mean, clearly that means he doesn't want the mantle. So we as America have to put somebody else behind that shield now, sort of thing. So sly as can be when it comes to the U.S. government, right? Always trying to screw somebody over and wind up picking us a U.S. agent type of fella that's going to turn out to be our new Captain American here. It's so funny. John Walker, the guy that is playing aka the brand new Captain America U.S. agent, looks kind of goofy to me in this costume. I don't know if there's anybody else that realizes how goofy this guy looks. I saw a meme going around that was making fun of him, saying that he looked like the old man from Up, just with the Captain America helmet on. If you guys can find that meme out there somewhere, please go ahead and do yourselves a favor and check it out. I thought it was pretty hilarious also. But I love just Anthony Mackie in general, guys. Going back to talking about Sam, I think he really delivered in here. The levels of emotion, the tears sort of welling up in his eyes, you can honestly see it. I thought the design for the set for the Smithsonian, the carved out section for Captain America's life, looked breathtaking. It looked absolutely incredible. I'm sure if I was walking around, it would probably stir up some emotions for me also. Sam clearly misses his best buddy in Steve Rogers, and there definitely is a lot of doubt that he certainly is currently struggling with. And honestly, that doubt doesn't help him at all, or I should say, the other events that happen in this episode probably just add to his doubts for himself, right? The idea that we get introduced to his sisters and his nephews, which I thought was pretty fantastic. I mean, I feel like maybe we've heard him mention his family before, but never like this. So to be able to be invested in his particular family, see the struggles and some of the stories that they've come up with over their lives, right? Clearly, Sam struggling with the idea of his dealing with the loss of his father. Maybe that's what pushed him into the Air Force also. His sister having to really raise the kids and things like that by herself during the blip sort of time period. It's all really fascinating to me to kind of see that that other side of Sam and his family. So I'm really glad that we're getting time to invest in that, because I think it's just going to add a ton more layers to the Sam Wilson character, to be perfectly honest. But you know, the idea of Sam coming back and wanting to use some of his leverage to help his sister out, I think is pretty noble of him. I think that's definitely the superhero thing to do. What I find hilarious and just downright disturbing, though, is that Falcon can't even get a bank loan. Like, homeboy can't even get help from the bank. Even despite the fact that the bank teller winds up telling them, like, hey, we know that your family's been banking with us for generations. You know, I just took a selfie with you, Mr. Falcon, as Sam does a little wings, which had me cracking up. Like, damn, this guy's bending over this desk in order to try and get his sister this bank loan by flapping his little wings. Like, my goodness. And even that certainly doesn't please the teller enough to at least, you know, help a brother out here or there type of thing, right? And it is fascinating to me just to kind of see I don't want to say that how superheroes are treated, because I do believe Sam does say he's got a government contract, right? So he might get paid in a certain extent, but you know, these superheroes aren't walking around as millionaires as much as they probably should be. But you know, clearly the fact that Sam's got to at least smooth talk somebody over to kind of get a loan to help his sister out, because he's been out of, you know, he's been personally out of work for like 5 years or so. I think that really says a lot about how they certainly treat not only their heroes, but clearly just people in general, you know what I mean? So really interesting stuff here, man, that even poor Sam Wilson, despite everything that he's done for this country, cannot even get a bank loan. And I mean, talk about the idea of just hitting you with a sense of reality, right? Because I feel like that's more people in this world today, unfortunately, that banks just do not care enough to really help people out. Doesn't matter what your name is, doesn't matter what your skin color is. I mean, probably does matter what your skin color is, honestly, but you just really get to see the influences that big businesses and big banks have, that despite who you are, they really have no intention of trying to help you, sort of thing. So I just find that really fascinating, that one that was brought up as a topic, but also the struggles of Sam Wilson, right? Like, if you can't even get a bank, how do you think people are going to react to you of you being Captain America? You know what I mean? And so I think that struggle alone is probably what really forced Sam to go ahead and give up that shield. And he's seen the repercussions of his decision by the end of this, that somebody else has been picked, right? Somebody that Steve Rogers doesn't even know, you know what I'm saying? Like, is now representing the United States. So it's it'll be interesting to see what Sam's journey is definitely going to be in here. But I absolutely loved it. Again, I thought the Don Cheadle stuff with him was fantastic. Yeah, we'll see. I'm really expecting to see Sam continue to shine in this also. But I got to tell you also, man, the other character we got to talk about is Bucky. I really love the Bucky stuff. And for me, Bucky was never really one of my favorite characters when it comes to the MCU. But I think that's the beauty of the Marvel Cinematic Universe television series that we're going to get, right? The B-level characters or the C-level characters that maybe didn't get a ton of shine in their own individual films or in the big group movies of Avengers are now getting that opportunity. I love the Winter Soldier in the Winter Soldier. I mean, in that particular film. And then for me, Bucky just kind of gets, I don't want to say gets lost, but, he definitely becomes like one of the, sub characters the remainder of the way, if you will. So to be able to kind of see what Bucky's life is like now that, I don't want to say that the Avengers are disbanded, but they clearly are becoming civilians and sort of moving on with their life. To see that transition for somebody like Bucky, who he even mentions in here, I've for 90 years, I've been fighting wars back to back to back, right? My only peace that I've ever had was my time in Wakanda, and homeboy was in like cryostasis for that particular type of piece. But the moment he comes out, back into battle, sort of thing, right? So I'm so fascinated by that dilemma of what a man, after he's done fighting, what do you do with your life, right? And we also get it's interesting too that they tackle the idea of how the U.S. government views him, that they've given him a pardon based off of all of his actions that he wind up doing in the past, clearly as an assassin and killing countless people. The U.S. government still gives this guy a pardon and allowing him to be sort of just a regular everyday civilian, if you will. And I love that they bring that up for one particular reason. And I feel like there are a lot of people out there that maybe felt that Bucky deserved to get the Captain America shield over Sam, right? And I think this probably speaks as to why Bucky doesn't get that shield, because of his past alone. The fact that they have to pardon this guy in order for all of his past actions and things like that. So I get the idea of Bucky not necessarily being ready to be the new Captain America and really leaving that up to Sam at this point in time, since Steve Rogers is the one that gave him that shield. But I love the fact that we see him in therapy, trying to make amends with not only his past, but I guess people that he's either put into power or that he's hurt in some sort of way, in order for him to kind of be ready to live that full life that he certainly wants. Clearly having some nightmares, or at least memories that are very nightmarish for him, because we really got the opportunity to see a really great Winter Soldier moment. Really took me back to that second Captain America movie, and just reminded me in exactly how terrifying the Winter Soldier certainly was when we first got the opportunity to certainly meet him. But I believe this therapist said that there are 3 rules to his recovery, or his making amends. 1, he can't do anything illegal. 2, nobody gets hurt. And then 3, he's got to inform them that he is a changed man. The idea of, that's introducing him as Bucky Barnes, no longer sort of the Winter Soldier type of thing. I kind of dig that idea. But I think also a part of Bucky Barnes' life that I really enjoyed in here was that there was a little bit of an aspect that I can kind of relate to him with, and what I mean by that is not to get too personal. I feel like I don't open up too much in regards to this stuff, but the idea that his therapist mentions the idea that you gotta flourish your friendships, that you've been alone for such a long time that you've kind of pushed a lot of people away. And the idea that it is important to flourish and water your relationships, right? Like when she takes his phone away and she looks through it and she's just like, man, the only person you text or call is me. There's nobody else that you've really reached out to or you talk to. And that's just kind of sad. And, it's, I think like with the pandemic that we've been dealing with, I'm a big believer in mental health. I honestly think everybody should certainly have a therapist or somebody that they certainly talk to. And one of the things that I feel like just even outside of the pandemic that for myself personally is that sometimes I feel like I can be pretty distant from people. I'm not really one to pick up the phone and reach out to people very often. So there are moments where I definitely do feel what Bucky feels. I mean, granted, I haven't been fighting for 90 years, right? But just that sense of, you kind of put yourself in this corner, right? Like you kind of do this to yourself a little bit. And when you look up and you look around, you realize that, yeah, maybe you are kind of alone and you don't really reach out enough to people that you consider friends to continue those friendships. You know what I mean? Or at least really put your best foot forward. Not that we don't want to, right? But it's a sense of how do we get back to what we used to be, and for me, I think that's what Bucky's journey is. How do you get back to just having a normal life for yourself anymore, man? He had one at one point in time and he's been used for years just to do one particular thing. And when you look up and your life has gone by, it's like, who do you talk to? Who do you have around as a support system, if you will? And so for me, I'm really interested in that when it comes to Bucky, to see the type of amends that that he has to make, the people that he has to confront in order for him to probably maybe move forward on in his life. And the storyline that I love is the fact that he's befriended one of those people. I believe his name is Yori. The gentleman that he winds up taking out to lunch and having a couple of drinks with and things like that. The moment that Yori started talking about his son being killed, the officer saying, oh, he must have just wrong place, wrong time. The moment he said that and you see the look across Sebastian's face, you immediately know who he's talking about. The idea that he killed this man's son. And in order to kind of make amends, clearly he's become a friend of Yori's and maybe trying to help him out along that way because he doesn't have his son around. I honestly do not want to see the emotion that's going to happen when it comes time for Bucky to have to reveal that to this guy. And I don't think he's really ready for it either. And but I think that's a super impactful amendment that he has on his list, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it winds up being developed. To be pretty fair with you guys, so I'm excited. I mean, look, he even tries to get into the dating field a little bit in here. I believe Toby winds up saying, he says, I like Bucky Date when she asked how old was he, and he said he was 106. I thought the date was a really great idea. I'm glad that Yori kind of opened him up a little bit to at least like, hey, have some casual conversations with people, interact with some people for a change type of thing, trying to set them up and whatnot. So I thought that was a really cool moment, really great moment for Bucky in here. Just another way to go ahead and push forward in your life. But listen, Sebastian Stan, again, a great actor. I really love what both Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan did in here. The showrunner itself, the guy that's the director, beautiful choices of shot selections. And I feel like he's a lover of the close-up shot of people's face. He really wants to be able to see your emotions, your eyes, what you're exuding and things like that. And I think like for this episode, it really came across because I felt all the emotions that both Sam and Bucky were definitely experiencing, and to the point of where it almost felt like you can put me in their shoes for a minute, and I could certainly relate. So I think this is going to be a great season. I think just the emotion's going to be there, the storytelling's going to be there, and the impact that it's going to have on the MCU. I think I'm really looking forward to it. Let me see if there's any honorable mentions. We talked a little bit about the Flag Smashers. We saw them briefly in here. They clearly pulled off some sort of robbery. Also, one of them clearly has super abilities as well, almost like he took a super soldier serum himself. He wound up kicking somebody halfway across the street type of thing. So clearly there are either some superpowered people in here, whether that be government or self-inflicted or accidental, who certainly knows. But I am going to be fascinated to see how that turns out. And then they also some crazy conspiracy theories about what happened to Steve Rogers. Somebody suggested that maybe they put him on the moon. I don't know why Captain America would be on the moon, but okay. I'll definitely roll with that for sure. But other than that, guys, I think that's everything. I will be a little bit more curious also to see if we get more Winter Soldier moments, similar to how we did in here of his nightmare or of his memory, however you want to refer to it as. I do hope that we get to see past missions of Winter Soldier as well, considering just the legacy that he sort of wind up leaving behind for himself also. Let me jump into the live chat with you guys, though, and just see what some of you guys are saying. What's up, AJ? Appreciate you coming through. 6 hours, like 6 episodes. That's the impression that I'm under. I think this one came in at like 47 minutes before credits, if I'm not mistaken. It might have come in at like 59. So I might be around maybe that 6-7 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. I'll keep you guys posted, but I do believe they said it was like a 6-hour event. What's up, Edward Sanchez? Appreciate you certainly coming through. AJ says, so from the trailers, Steve did pass away. I'm not under the impression that Steve Rogers passed away. I'm just under the impression that he's just living his life incognito. I would assume, like, I don't know how you go about telling the world and the U.S. Army, like, hey, by the way, Steve Rogers went back into the past to put M's back, but then Steve Rogers stayed in the past and he just lived his life the entire time. He showed back up to us at that very moment when he was like in his late 60s, 70s. Homeboy gave me the shield sort of thing. Like, I don't know how you explain that to everybody. Steve Rogers is in old man form at this point. I don't know how they explain all that to everybody. So if anything, I would probably say they probably told the American they probably told the public that either he passed away or he went back in time and boom, we just never heard from him again. Because I don't see people mourning Captain America like they do say an Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Spider-Man, you saw murals all over the place, people crying because of Tony Stark. I'm not really seeing like events or anything like that of people mourning the death of Steve Rogers. So I'm not under the impression that they think that he died in battle or anything like that. I think maybe they know that he's just retired from the game, if you will, or maybe they just know the story that homeboy went back into the past to go ahead and set our timeline. And that was the last that we sort of heard of him. But in the MCU, I definitely am not under the impression that Captain America has died. Let's see here. Toby says, I kind of feel like while I get why Sam is struggling to live up to Captain America, but Steve Rogers gave Sam Wilson the shield for a reason. Steve knew what he was doing. Absolutely. He definitely did. You got to trust the process, Sam. You know, if the guy that owns the shield gave you the shield, that means you're ready. You may not think that you're certainly ready, but you're definitely ready for it. And I think this is going to be a series of Falcon maybe realizing that for himself. I'm really hoping that by the end of this, at the end of this season, that it is Sam with the shield and the brand new costume. Pardon me 1 minute, guys. I want to one of the reasons why I'm really actually looking forward to this. I remember when Endgame finished, the first thing that I went out and I purchased was my very own Sam Wilson Captain America. I love this costume on him. He didn't have it on very long. I think it was part of the Marvel Now era of I think same time period when they changed when they gave us the Mighty Thor, the female version, and things like that. They also redesigned the Falcon, Sam Wilson, to be. It just sits right up here. Yeah, you can chill right there, Sam, the rest of the day. But yeah, I always loved it. And so I remember the first time Sam gets the shield at the end of Endgame, I went out and I purchased this statue because I'm always a big fan. So I'm really looking forward to him hopefully holding on to the shield by the end of this. At the end of this, let's see here. Toby, going back to Bucky here. I feel like Bucky still has a lot of demons to face, which is why he didn't get the shield. Yeah, and I don't, again, the fact that the U.S. government had to pardon this guy, I think is just says it all. Says it all, you know. AJ says Falcon America sounds weird. Yeah, I don't know what the no. I'm pretty sure his name will be Captain America. I don't think they're going to be like, you're the Captain Falcon America, American Falcon. No, I don't think we're going to go that route. Although American Falcon doesn't sound too bad, if I could be honest with you. But no, he definitely does pick up the mantle of Captain America in the comic books, at least for a short period of time. So yeah, like any period of time, I'll be completely happy with. But I'm really eager to see the journeys for both of these characters, especially Sam, to go ahead and pick up that mantle. And again, I was really impressed with just the introduction of Sam's family, his nephews, getting the opportunity to see his chemistry and just bouncing off of some of his old time friends and family members. Talking a little bit about New Orleans and things like that. I really love getting an opportunity to see just Sam sort of just in his world, just in his environment again, outside of working, with the U.S. government and stuff. So to be able to give him sort of that extra layer, I thought was great for him this week. And then Toby does say, yeah, this is a great episode for me. I can't wait to see the meetup. Yeah, and listen, for me, I find it interesting here that these two characters definitely need each other more than they even think. With somebody like Bucky that needs some friends in his life, that needs people that are going to give him sort of that positivity and that reinforcement that he needs. He needs to reach out to Sam. And considering the fact that his therapist says, like, you don't even bother to pick up the phone and call anybody. A part of me is kind of hoping that it is Bucky that decides to pick up the phone to call Sam, just to have somebody that he can have his back and be able to be there and support him so he doesn't feel so alone. And the same thing with Sam, right? I don't know how long it's been since these two have last seen each other at Endgame, but if there is anybody that's going to give you that boost of the word just slipped out of my brain for a minute there, but just somebody to give you that boost of confidence to know that, Steve Rogers picked you. If there's anybody that can deliver that message to Sam, it's Bucky, somebody that's been next to Steve Rogers for years, knows how Steve thinks, how Steve works. And I would be also fascinated to see what Bucky's reaction is going to be to the idea of Sam giving up the shield. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of pissed or if he's kind of upset or just doesn't understand the logic behind it, considering the fact that Steve gave it to Sam, So I do expect these two need each other. These two truly do need each other more than ever when both of their best friends in Captain America are in fact now gone. And if there's anybody that you can rely on, it's each other. It's each other for sure. So I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. Let's see here. Dino. Oh, Toby says, even Rhodey was asking Sam, why did you give up the shield? Yeah, he certainly couldn't comprehend it also. So it is a lot of doubt that's going on in Sam's head for sure. AJ says, we know Tony updated Peter's suit to come on to him. Maybe when Rhodes eventually shows up, he can enhance the shield. Maybe there's always a possibility. One of the things that I've always wanted that I have not seen in the MCU, but I saw in the comics for a few years, actually, there was a time period when Captain America did not have his shield. And so was it Wakanda? Or is it Black Panther that might have designed a shield for him? But it was a gigantic energy shield. same design and everything, circular, but it was all energy. A part of me has always wanted to kind of see that showcased a little bit. I doubt that we're going to get that since the shield is so prominent, right? It's kind of hard to replace that. But I would love to see it. Now, whether or not it's Rhodes that winds up upgrading any suits or shields, who certainly knows. But clearly Tony Stark certainly worked on Falcon's gear, because he even mentioned the idea that all the Tony tech or something like that was inside of it. Jose, what's up, Jose? He says, hi, Adam. I've been watching Super Sentai review videos, which I really like. I haven't been able to tune in live due to school. I'm glad you mentioned New Orleans because that's where I'm from. Hey, you and Sam Wilson, my friend, you guys got that bond in common, right? So yeah, maybe you should look in a little bit more into Sam Wilson and see how you guys maybe connect on some levels. But yeah, good old Sam is from New Orleans, so I thought that was pretty cool. Jonathan, we just talked, my guy. What's up, man? He says, let's be real. They didn't want Sam to be Captain America because of racism. Why didn't they call him and then gave the mantle to someone who could be a hero for all? We know what that meant. Undertones. We absolutely know what that meant. I mean, even the bank, right? Even the bank with the undertones. I mean, come on, guys. You can't help us out in any way like that. Like, come on. You pick and choose who you certainly who you help out. But look, there's no getting around it, Jonathan. You're probably right on the money in regards to that, my friend. Certainly would not surprise me at all. Yeah, they could have called up Sam like, hey man, we got this new spot for Captain America. We're thinking, do you want to come in and fill that spot? Maybe you got some recommendations yourself, right? Nope, just go right over the head. And again, I think the fact that Sam is the one that delivers it to them, they're just in the back like, right into our hands. And then next thing you know, they're pulling off their plan. Leave it up to the government, man. Leave it up to the government to screw somebody over. But you know what? I'm excited to see how Bucky and Sam certainly handle this at the end of the day. But guys, listen, if you've had the opportunity to check out Falcon and the Winter Soldier, what did you think? I thought it was a great first episode debut. Really hit me in the feels, really made me feel connected to a lot of these characters again. Incredible action piece to go ahead and just set the tone for what this season is certainly going to be like. And I'm really eager to kind of see where this season goes. But guys, remember, every Friday we will be back here 7 p.m. Central Time. And we would love for you guys to continue to join us for all of the discussion and topics. So other than that, guys, I think that's probably going to go ahead and do it for us here today, but we will see you guys next week. Also, for you guys that continue to love your Marvel, DC movies, and television, we do have a live episode of A+ Hero Report going live this Sunday at noon Central Time. And then after that, at 4 p.m. Central Time, we are going to be having ourselves a huge Justice League spoiler discussion for everybody. So definitely go ahead and join us then. But in the meantime, guys, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen, along with that bell notification. And of course, if you love our content, hit that like button. That big thumbs up certainly does go a long way. If you want to follow us on social media, we're located right here at A+ Opinions, very active over on Twitter as well as Facebook. And you could also catch us over on Instagram as well as Twitch for you gamers. But other than that, guys, that's going to do it for here. So do me a favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.